Hey there.
I'm Jen Weiss. Somewhere over here is Jacy Pulford and Brandi.
Say it.
You gotta say it. You gotta say it.
Coey.
Brandi.
Brandi, Coey, Joey, Zoe.
There you go. That's a good way to remember
Or
it.
just Coey.
Well, welcome back, folks. A lot's changed.
All transition. Just kidding.
I'm just kidding.
This is actually what Chad looks like without his beard all along.
Saved his face. Okay, so we already are on a really good foot, folks. And we've got some comments to read from the physics episode, right?
All right. Well, before we hit the comments, why don't we do a little rundown of the physics episode?
Give us the rundown, Brandi.
All right. So in this episode of Nateland, the physics episode, we learned that Aaron often dressed as Clark Kent as a child. Breakfast understands physics more than any of us expected. Dusty is entertained by all this mythical nonsense. And Nate wrapped up the whole topic with his opinion that basically this sounds like something that was just made up so people could have jobs. Back to you, Jen.
Valid point.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brandi. Well, our first comment comes from Snakes RS TV. We all know them. That's where we get our snakes and our TVs from.
Obviously.
Dusty and Breaks always have those awesome one-liners. They subtly sneak in. You really have to pay attention or you might miss it. Most of these are definitely worth watching more than once. My favorite was when they talked about who knows if it was Kmart or Walmart when it first came around, and Bates was like, "Oh yeah, I remember that."
Yeah, got it. And he always is doing good.
There was 2 times where Dusty said something. He tried to interject in the whole Walmart Kmart debate. Oh yeah, he was like, "I'm hoping to do a corporate gig for them." It didn't go well the first time. He said it again. And I think Aaron picked up on it.
Ryan was just giving him the eye. Like, I know, man. Mm-hmm. I've been there.
He tries.
It's hard for me to dig really into this comment because I can't get past Snakes Are Us TV and wondering if this is the #1 rival of Jesse Rothschild and his reptile.
Jesse Rothschild. The Rothschilds.
What, Jesse?
I
thought he was our snake expert.
I think it is Jesse. I think he's found another way to get his comments read.
Oh, so is
the
this
sneaky snake?
Because he's got a giant ego.
Talking about sneaky, who's sneaky? Sneaking in more comments as another person. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah. I think
he's complimenting them being sneaky, so maybe he's taking a page from them. Okay. What is his name? Jace Roth something.
Hacker.
I apologize.
He will be commenting on this right now.
I know, and I'm very sorry about that.
Let's move on. We don't apologize in Folkland. Not for real.
I'm super nice and I apologize. All right, let's read another comment though. Craig Brannon says, the fact that you guys brought in an expert for the Bigfoot episode, but not for the physics episode, says it all. Laughy face crying, laughy face.
Is it because Aaron did not want any competition?
He is the expert.
Yeah.
He kind of seemed a little haughty at first until they got to that definition of what was that word?
Kind of seemed a little
pedantic.
Pedantic.
Yes. Oh, we're going to talk about pedantic here.
The definition of what he is.
Yeah.
The only reason I made a comment, by the way, and posted. Did anyone catch the Seinfeld reference? Not knowing that Brian had done that.
Yeah.
Because I was sick and I had just watched a lot of Seinfeld and that episode came on. So I was like, pedantic. They said that in the podcast. So I'm thinking,
funny.
Did no one notice it? And everyone's like,
yeah, Brian, he knew what episode it was from. We're then
they were like, all the guys were like, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps.
Whatever,
maybe.
Brian.
So I'm going to do a little mini deep dive on that pedantic and tell you that it is indeed a Seinfeld reference. Brian was right on. It was the big salad episode.
The big salad.
George, the big salad. George, I don't know why it was in quotes. It's really the name of the episode. But George Costanza made the comment. But what I found most interesting during my deep dive on this, oh, by the way, that was season 6, episode 2 for anybody who wants to check it out. And my favorite part of this is that while I was searching Seinfeld pedantic, it brought up this Seinfeld Wikipedia page and told me the description for each character. And the description for George Costanza describes him as stingy, cunning, pedantic, and jealous. So there you go. Came full circle.
Brandi, I do have a real-time correction for you. George actually wasn't the one who said it. It was the girl he was with. She said, "Don't you think he could be pedantic?" And he said, "Pedantic, yeah." Like, yeah,
he's pedantic. He's pedantic. He said that. George said it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
He's pedantic. He's totally pedantic.
I was trying to be pedantic.
You were. You succeeded.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah, so okay. Are we going to the next comment now? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
sure. Locker McDonald said this episode is on physics, and 32 minutes in, they are Googling, do babies have knees? And that, as a mom, made me laugh so hard because it is kind of a ridiculous thing to talk about, but to hear these guys talk about it together, and Nate was so confident, and he was right.
Yeah, I have to say, I was driving down the road listening, and I think I reacted physically when I heard that. Like, I have 4 children, and this did not seem to be something that I already had memorized. But I loved that Nate was right about it. A big win for him in that one.
Yeah.
I cackled, laughed out loud when he was like, "Babies don't have knees." Aaron laughed like it was something so ridiculous. What? Of course, babies have knees. I've never looked at a baby and gone, "You don't have knees," like they look like knees.
Yeah,
I know. And it had that very, like, the answer was like, yes and no. It was one of those.
Right.
But Dusty said the answer can't be yes and no. So, but my favorite is when Nate said, "Well, I was born with knees."
Somebody who's like super like proud of it. Like, well, I had them. I'm above all of you because I had them.
They finished reading.
I don't know if it's something to be
finished
proud
reading, and it said it would make childbirth harder. Nobody wants that.
No. Okay, let's move on.
That's hilarious.
Micah Johnson said this. Listen to the podcast this morning and all day. I've been trying to wrap my head around a sushi restaurant that has a bouncer during the day. Way more confusing than any of the physics concepts discussed in the podcast.
Agreed.
So y'all know,
Agreed.
I'm from Mississippi, and I could definitely tell you some places like this. There was a pizza restaurant that also was a country western bar, and I'm pretty sure no one wanted to go there during the day. No one.
I'm telling you, I don't want to eat any sushi that came from that place.
Sounds like a strip club that has like buffet lunches.
Yeah.
Something like that, probably.
Sushi doesn't belong in a buffet.
They definitely had a what did he say? It was a where they make the food. So they had they had a hibachi. So I guess that had some class. But being from the Northeast, this kind of boggled my mind because this doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Well, I have to tell you, if you want to know how much I grew up in the middle of nowhere, I started my very first job a few years ago, we'll say, and I was a young pup, and they took me to a hibachi grill but didn't explain it to me. And so I went and got my bowl, put all my toppings in it. I had never had sushi at this point. I wasn't about to eat this raw meat, so I just made myself a salad.
Hey, I could do you one better, Brandi. My first experience at any sort of Oriental buffet, I go and get myself a bowl of mint ice cream. Turns out to be wasabi.
I knew you were going to say that. Oh, that's
Seriously?
terrible.
Oh, painful.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. Have you ever seen that episode of The Nanny?
I'm not sure.
Oh my gosh.
That's such a classic scene. I'll put that in our comp section down there. It's just a super quick little clip, but it is hysterical. Very good acting.
Hey, I know we're going through this, but do you want to hear? Okay, this might be kind of gross, but I have to share it because, okay, we're talking about sushi. It's one of the favorite things that my husband and I like to eat. And he was trying to be romantic and he wanted to bring me to the sushi restaurant that was by his job during, I think it was my birthday one year. So it was a couple years ago. And it was very dark and sweet. And we were like eating all the sushi and it was amazing. And my glass was like right here. And all of a sudden a cockroach walks all the way up my glass and sits on the top of it. And I freak out. And my husband goes to the waitress and points to it. And she was like, oh, do you want me to like get you a different table? And we were like, no, we want like we want a different restaurant. And they were kind of like, I don't know what to do. You know, I guess it's like not a big deal. We were so mortified. And I remember going to the bathroom and I saw one on the floor and I was like, we're out of here. We're gone. So that I never call, like Better Business Bureau. I never am like a Karen about it or a Nate about it. But, so I called and literally a week later, they shut that restaurant down in 1 week. And I was like, I kind of felt powerful. I'm not going to lie. My head was like, if I go into some place, y'all better treat me right. I have the power to shut this place down. It was
what if you might be the person who reviews the cemetery? What's it, the place in come on guys, help me. What's it called? Yes, that's it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I know.
I can't pronounce that have to do with snakes. So.
Took us on a whole new direction. Sorry. But that was just like,
we're gonna keep going. I worked at Applebee's when I was 18 and I quit, not on great terms. And there were roaches in the kitchen. So I called the health department and I told them exactly where to find them. And they were like, it's just a complaint from a disgruntled former worker because she knew exactly where to find the roaches. We're not going to take it serious. And I was like,
wow.
The fact that there's roaches in the kitchen.
I bet it happens a lot, to be honest. People are just like, I hate this job. And then they call in something that's fake. But
bunch of nerds.
So this Applebee's is on Route 5.
Horrifying. Yeah.
You're gonna tell
my
us the
one
address,
quick
right?
story here, a business that is no longer in business also. My husband and I took the kids for ice cream and he got a strawberry sundae and he asked for chopped nuts on top. He did not ask for chocolate sprinkles, but he got them. Only not.
They weren't sprinkles.
Were they droppings? Ants droppings.
How's that happen?
I don't know. I don't want to know.
My gosh. Oh my gosh.
Moving along.
Hey, let's go, folks.
Whew.
Brandi, you're up next.
All right. Well, we've already kind of jumped into my deep dive. We talked about that. So I would like to point out that at 13 minutes and 13 seconds, we learned something important about Aaron, and that is that he's learning how to be a towel guy, but he doesn't want to be known as the towel guy, the sweat towel guy.
I watched this earlier, and I did not catch this on the first watch when Brian was like, we have a towel right here. And Nate then corrected him on the way he was holding the towel. Like, I was like, come on. It's just so...
come on, give it to him. Give it to breakfast.
He never gets a break.
Yeah.
That's true.
No break baits.
No, I like that.
No break.
My brain was
baits.
working on it and you got it first.
Yeah. That's why Batesville is so important.
Yeah. So he doesn't want to be known as the sweat towel guy. And after hearing that, though, I thought, hey, sorry, pal, it's too late after that comment.
But also they were just talking about all of those kind of infomercials, and all I could think about was that he needs a ShamWow for when he's on stage.
I could actually picture him doing a ShamWow commercial. I think Aaron would be perfect for a ShamWow commercial.
He does do those funny spoof videos, which are pretty good. Hey, we didn't read this, but Brandon Botkin had a real good one that I think is a nice segue. When he said, "Are we going to talk about Dusty Slay?" Seriously asking if Bates had a stroke, and it was totally brushed off for Nate's orange hand story. Poor guy. We don't need to hear more about orange hands. We've heard it.
Yeah.
What happened to breakfast?
We're sorry, Nate. We're sorry your hands are orange and you golf so much and you're on the course. We know you're amazing. But your friend had a stroke, so. No, I'm just kidding.
Have some compassion, you monster.
I think Nate might owe Brian another hug.
Oh, no.
So he can reach past for the Sour Patch Kids.
You did, speaking of hugs, you did remind me, I have a rantometer segment for you.
Ah,
yes.
So about 6 minutes into the podcast, we get a real good one from Nate reaming Aaron for not knowing how to Google what he wanted in his mind, but never said out loud in his mouth.
Yes.
I would say if we're going to establish a scale for like Nate rants, let's see, what's a low one? Like, what's a low level Nate rant? Like,
I don't know. He kind of comes in hot pretty good.
What would you rate traveling? I would say ranting about traveling is up there, maybe an 8.
Say it's like 3 hay bears.
I'm gonna give it an 8 on the rantometer for Cowgate and all that, right?
Yeah.
So I would say Aaron's was about a 5. I would say about a 5. We got to find another good low level identifier. I'll work on that. But what did you guys think about the rant? I was like, whoa, the first time I watched it.
I just think he was just trying to be funny, but then like it kind of turned into kind of like half serious, half funny, because I could tell he was kind of like frustrated because I think he wanted to actually see the words on the screen. And Aaron,
there, that's what I wanted up there. I wanted to see it.
Yeah. Well, and okay, I'll be the devil's advocate in this discussion and say that after 20 years of marriage, sometimes I'm frustrated with my husband when he does not plug in his collective mind and know what I want and know what I want him to do or say. Yeah. Like before I can get all the words out, I'd like him to be in perfect cadence with me. Okay. Is that too much to ask?
It's my favorite thing when you can just look at someone and you guys both know what you're thinking, you know?
And, yes. Yeah. And that's why I tease, because on the moment, whenever he doesn't, I'm like, come on.
Just so funny.
Pivotal moment. We were playing a stage game at church and it was like, name the song. And I had been singing the song that was on to this person like the day before. And I just looked at them like, it's the song. They just sat there and let me down. You know?
You're like, hello.
This is how, have you played the fishbowl game?
Yes.
That's how it works.
You
got to have that same wavelength for the next.
I was too enthusiastic when I said that. Yes, we played.
Yeah, but maybe that sounds like we should do a fun little Nateland themed fishbowl segment.
Oh, that'd be great.
That would be fun.
You can be in charge of that.
Yeah. All right. So next we have the mention of Shawshank Redemption and Nate
again
has never seen this
again.
So that's at 20 minutes and 3 seconds.
And he never will. Until one day he'll watch it and then he'll be like, I don't know what the big deal was about it.
So I think
I don't remember. He'll just say, I don't remember anything about it.
I'm going to do a little chart and see if we can't see how many times it takes them to mention it before he actually watches it.
We started, by we, I mean, the only other person I know that listens to this podcast in real life started keeping track of how many times they said something. One thing that I noticed every single episode is Nate always is notorious for someone says something funny and he repeats it immediately after. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but Aaron will be like, I don't know. And then he'll be like, oh, yeah. And then he'll repeat the exact same thing.
Yes. He's like a parrot. He's parrot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I noticed one of his friends in a Instagram reel, Dustin Chafin, comedian, did the same exact thing. When Nate said something, he said it back. And I was like, this must be like a comedy guy thing or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Funny
like if they
thing.
hear something funny, they like repeat it back as like validation of like, oh yeah, that was pretty funny. Instead of like laughing, they just repeat your joke.
But I'm like, it gives me vibes of like when I come up with something funny and then no one laughs and then someone repeats the joke like it's theirs and then everyone laughs. That's the worst.
It sounds like if Nateland was a sitcom, that would be the ongoing gag for Poor Breakfast.
I feel like that would be what happens to Brian.
That's what I'm just said.
Sorry, it kind of cut out. So I didn't hear you. I wasn't stealing your joke.
Jen.
I said,
wow.
That's the worst. And then I did it.
I mean, okay. That's the worst.
I mean, guys, I don't know. Are we getting somewhere? I don't know.
Oh my
All
God.
right.
That's
And
so
so for my last point of note for the show, I have that I laughed out loud when they were discussing physics and Aaron described the tree where the apple fell out of and gravity was discovered as the most famous tree of all time.
I thought it was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil in the Bible. That
Perhaps that's the one I thought of.
fire.
I was like, maybe the fig tree that Jesus cursed. I mean, I could, who knows? Maybe the tree on Mr. Rogers where the puppets lived.
This is like
And
just
then
Aaron's
Neighborly Land of Make-Believe.
declaration. Like Aaron likes to do these big declarations of all time. Of
So
all
they're not
time.
do it all.
He has made that tree. I would say he's made that the Moneyball tree because he's declared that.
Moneyball tree. I did it. I repeated it.
Yeah.
I'm noticing it now.
You're doing it.
Wait, I thought the most famous tree of all time was the one George Washington chopped down.
They say that's a
Lie
myth.
about it.
They said it's a myth.
I think I care enough about trees because
Yeah.
I don't think of anything.
Yeah.
I thought about the tree that they cut down to make Jesus's cross, but then I was like, let's not, maybe not go there. But I did anyway, so that's what I do. That's my thing.
On the Christian segment of the podcast, Jen Weiss will preach a 5-minute, what's it called? A
Sermonette.
sermonette.
Popcorn preaching. You never played that game?
Yeah,
Ooh, no.
I've
Where you
heard
go
of
like,
it.
Hey, Brandi, preach about squirrels and like related to the gospel.
Okay. What I love about squirrels is that they
I
don't stop to think about it. They go and get it done. They are on it. They're not lukewarm
Okay.
about it. Yeah.
Amen. Amen.
Just got saved. Whew.
Squirrels, man.
My pants.
Did you guys get, I just have to ask you this. Did you get the joke about Professor Cole? No, I know Brandi did, but I did not, Jacy, understand why Dusty said he didn't have a Professor Diamond, he had a Professor Cole.
I've listened to this episode like 3 times, which is probably crazy. And every time I'm not sure if I understand how deep that joke really goes.
I think because it is deep, I think it was very well executed.
Break down the
in the moment, and Dusty deserves a Folkland applause. Everyone.
I want to hear what,
okay.
I'm not going to do it. I want to hear what
I think you deserve it.
you were thinking, Jacy, each time that it went deeper. Like, break that down for us.
Yeah.
Well, I just wasn't thinking really deep. So I was like, I just thought he was thinking of something like that's the opposite of what Aaron said. That's like not as shiny, not as nice. And that's as far as like my brain went. But then I was like, I don't know. Dusty has a lot of layers in there. So
Yeah.
maybe
I
I haven't peeled back enough this joke.
That's
Yeah,
deep.
I definitely wondered if it was just quick-witted or just the best irony of all time. Then it really was this professor's name.
Ooh, I wish Dusty could weigh in on this for us.
Wait a minute. I've said professor, and I would like to recant because I'm thinking that Dusty didn't have a professor. He probably had a janitor and a teacher.
Oh my gosh. I would like to share with you what I thought. I thought that because coal like turns into diamonds, that he was making like an old joke. But then I was like, wait, aren't they like the same age? And then I was like, wait, I actually don't know how old Dusty is. He's the only one that I don't know how old he is. So
Dusty's a bit of an enigma.
I think his facial hair makes him look older. So he had like the way his facial hair is and like the way his look is. I'm like, he looks very wise, but then he could also be like 24.
Okay, I have a side comment.
Which I'm not saying 24
on
years
this topic. This is not related to the topic, but it came up. And we were at a football game the other day because my oldest son was playing in the marching band. So we went to the football game and we were walking to our seats. Now, this was a homecoming game. So a lot of people were at this game, not my alma mater, but these people have come to this homecoming game, to celebrate. And as I'm walking by, I see what appears to be an elderly man. And he says, I'm 48, so if I can make it to whatever he says, 80 or whatever. And I think that there was no poker face in this reaction. I think I stopped and said, because he looked like Santa. And I thought, does he mean that he graduated in 1948 maybe? I still am haunted by this. If that man was 48, then he's lived a rough life. That's all I can say.
Probably lots of smoking, lots of drinking,
Maybe.
I'm just saying. Okay, anyway, so really, we don't know how old Dusty is.
We don't, but we're going to find out.
Write that down. We'll have to write that down. It's very important.
I love that Aaron's family was revealed a little bit more to us on this past episode.
Yes,
I love watching
gold.
The video of the in-home graduation.
Oh my gosh, that was so funny.
The topic of Boston Neff.
Boston.
It feels like it shouldn't be real. Like it feels like that's something you make up. Like work,
Yeah. I definitely loved how. Well, I was just gonna say, I definitely loved how like Brian totally played off as like he didn't know who he was. He was like, "Oh, is he related to you?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I knew that."
Yeah, that was good. I agree with that. Boston Neff sounds like a character in a smoking jacket and a pipe. Maybe bubbles come out of the pipe.
Boston Neff.
or it's like a chocolate bar.
Boston Neff.
Love
Maybe
a Boston Neff
bar
on a rainy night.
Boston Neff bar.
He also sounds like he might be related to Dwight K. Schrute.
Ooh,
Yeah.
my cousin, Boston Neff.
Yes,
my cousin,
absolutely.
Yeah.
What about his great grandmother Boogie?
Oh my gosh, she is a legend.
How do you think you spell Boogie as a name? Like
Boogie?
Oh,
Boogie?
Wasn't it Boogie? Was it Boogie?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
Boogie,
my cousin had a relative though, and they called her Boob. That was her name. Like I don't know where that legend began.
Boob?
Aunt Boob or something like that. I don't know. I was a little kid. I remember being over like it was my cousin's other side of the family, and
So God bless her.
Hey,
Bless
Booby!
her.
Get over here.
You just yelled that in Walmart. Hey,
Boo! Where are you?
nobody will care. If you did it in Walmart, nobody would care if you
No.
yelled that in Walmart.
Correct.
wouldn't care.
Yes.
Can you help me find her?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Boob.
I don't think you should have said that. I'm unraveled.
We got to bring it
Okay.
back. Bring it back.
The real thing that I thought was funny was that Aaron's his grandpa wrote into Mythbusters correcting them and just demonstrated the pedantic runs deep in the family.
Yes, 100%. That is such a Weber thing to do.
What a Weber.
What a Weber.
A worldwide Weber.
Yeah.
One be like the grill.
I thought it was funny when Brian said that he put on lullaby music for the baby, and they were talking about Alexa, and
Yes.
Dusty was like, "What? No."
I can't get lullabies. I have no
He was like,
Alexa.
"What? You don't want to sing?" And Brian's like, "Yeah, I'll sing." But he's like, "You don't put on music?" He goes, "No, we just have toys that she can punch on."
Alexa can
I'm
do
like,
it, yeah.
"What is she punching on, a calculator?"
I didn't even catch that. I think my next cameo is going to be for a lullaby for the next time I have a hard time sleeping. I'm just going to ask Brian to record one.
That would be
It'll be
amazing.
like, Alexa, play Rockabye Baby.
Brian, sing Good Night Moon. The whole story, but sing it.
Oh my
I-
goodness.
You know how you can change Alexa's voice?
Ooh,
Just a thought.
that
Yeah,
is a
then
thought.
he said that Nate was doing Nate came on and he did Geico radio commercials. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to listen to that." He's
You
like,
didn't know
"Well,
that?
welcome to Geico." I don't know. How would he say it?
Welcome to Geico. I guess if you get in an accident, we can fix it and stuff. I don't know.
Right.
You just have to say it with no like heart or enthusiasm whatsoever.
Mhm.
Well,
Hilarious.
You guys got any other whoppers?
Oh yes. When Brian said that he did cameo gender reveal. And then
Wait,
Nate
he
does the
made
zinger.
such a good joke when Nate was like, "Is that an old man or a boy?" And he said, "Do you think those are genders? You think those are two different genders?" And Nate this is Nate's classic move. When you make a good burn on him, he just makes you sound stupid,
Yes.
But it was so good.
It was good. Do you think that those are two genders? Like a little kid. Like, do you really think that that's what that means?
Yeah. Aw,
Yeah.
how cute.
And then they said, "Who's the gender of the person reading this?" or something. Oh, Brian.
We love it.
Team breakfast all the way. But yeah, it was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious. I knew nothing. I don't think I still know anything about physics, but it was very entertaining.
One thing that Dusty talked about with the atmosphere, I also wondered that as a kid, like, if it was so easy, we need to be so careful not to make holes in it, then how are we alive?
Right. Right. And I think
Hairspray, that's not the answer. Hairspray is not the answer. I know
or
that.
air conditioner, right?
Yeah.
Or your car's exhaust.
Yeah.
Or airplanes.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
fossil
I-
fuels and big oil.
Oh my
have
God.
I have some really big news about the clouds, though. Should I share it?
Only
Drop
if
it.
it was
Drop
that
it,
they
Jen.
were in the shape of elephants.
How much do you think people are going to actually see this?
We're gonna be so famous. It's gonna be so ridiculous. So
All right, so everyone's going to see it, and they need to know that you can actually, when you fly an airplane, like make a hole in a cloud. I learned this from a person who flies airplanes. So you wanted to know that.
big deal.
Oh, look, you just
Big deal.
did they make that noise whenever the airplane goes to like that?
Yeah, actually, the pilot makes that noise when they're flying through. They go, and they're like, "Why'd you do that?" And they go, "It just helps
The
the
cloud
It helps the clouds.
dissipates,
first."
kind of dissipates a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a professional,
Wait,
standard thing.
you just reminded me. So I watched this like inspirational video last night. When it's like a part of a sermon, someone's clipped. It's like the real good, the inspiring part. And it was about this guy who, the pastor who was preaching, went up in an airplane with a pilot who passed out whenever he flew through clouds. And I was like, who is letting someone become a pilot who passes out
That every time.
when you do the one thing that you have to do as a pilot?
Yeah,
and he
that's
was
a
like,
bit disturbing.
sure as day, we got up there, the altitude was climbing. The guy turns to us and says, I got to tell you something. Whenever I fly through clouds, I pass out. And the guy was like, you're joking. He's like, no. 5 minutes later, he passes out. And I was like, why would you say yes?
Why?
Keep going.
And then he goes, "Oh, is it done yet? Like, oh, are we?"
Yeah.
Like he wakes up. He's like, "Oh, it's over."
Oh, and then a cloud comes out of nowhere. Oh.
Too bad those clouds were right on the edge of that
He's
mountain.
just every time he's
not
just
a good
going
ending.
It's
multiple times.
yeah,
you better not fly over the Smoky Mountains.
It reminds me of this show that I watched while I was sick. I don't normally watch Netflix, but like someone let me use theirs after my surgery, and so
I watch Netflix because it features Nate Bargatze comedy stuff.
who's that? Anyway, so
Never heard of him.
I usually just call him in my own circle. I call him my comedian to people.
oh, I thought you meant like you guys too, like you're close. You're like, oh, and it's just us hanging out. I just call him comedian.
I just call him Nate. I'm like, Nate. Come
in
on,
my
Nate.
circle of people,
Nate.
I'm like my
Earlier.
comedian when I refer to it, and they said we went the other day with a ministry day away, and I said they were like, "Why are you saying hey bear?" And what is that? Why do you say hello, folks, and hey bear? And I made a couple of videos, and I said it's something that my comedian did. I try to do a little summary without taking up everyone's time. And they said, oh, her comedian, Nate Barkas.
Really?
I think that's the guy that Oprah had to change people's rooms around. I'm talking about Nate Bargatze.
I earlier at dinner said Nateland, and the person I was talking to thought I said alien for a good while. I was like, I got a Nateland thing, and then they were like, do they like aliens? You're gonna give them that? Do they like aliens? And I was like,
we could
what?
Talk about the alien episode if you want.
Yeah.
My boy!
My Netflix
My boy's up there.
relevance, because I watched this show where a woman literally passed out anytime it rained. And so she went out in the rain, and it was like she was like
Time out. You're gonna have to give us a little more context. Is this a scripted show? Is this a documentary? What are we? Give a little context would be nice.
Comedy?
No, it was kind of like a thriller suspense kind of thing. So like she lost her daughter. It was very out there. She lost her daughter because her husband was a forensic scientist, and he left her alone in a room with a serial killer who ate people. And so it was raining that day, and so anytime she went out into the rain, she passed out.
Oh, it was like a traumatic memory.
It's like PTSD, like trauma.
And I'm like laughing at it, but it was so dramatic.
It kind of sounds ridiculous, though. I mean, it really does sound ridiculous.
Like it's water falling from the sky. You've seen it your whole life.
Have you watched Knives Out? There's a character with something similar.
I have seen that.
It's a great movie.
It is
very
good.
well written, like a mystery comedy ish.
Like when she goes outside, does she like try and angle her head so like her head falls into a puddle? So it doesn't hit the ground.
Yeah.
Like
you would have,
it's not like
it's
like splash instead of like a
at the end of the movie, she's going to save.
I haven't seen it yet.
You don't even know what it's called. She's going to save someone because she thinks they're about to get killed, and it's raining, and she's like, ah! And she falls in the street, and then she wakes herself up, and she's like, no, I can do it. And you're like,
wouldn't it be funny if the water splashing her face wakes her up? Like, it's both her enemy and
she's like, what is this? All right,
that's ridiculous.
This is dangerous because there's no time clock on this thing.
Yeah, we should at the end, we need to end on a strong point instead of fading off.
On some irrelevant, unnamed Netflix show starring Kristen Bell.
Yeah, I think we're about like 45 minutes in or so.
Oh, geez. We got to call it.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, this is Return of the folk. Get it? Return of the man. No, Brandi?
I know that song.
Have you seen the meme where they do it about Jesus? Return of man. Oh my God.
Nope.
I'm gonna have to see that one. We're not ending on a strong note right now, Jen.
No, we're not. But you know what? Nateland never does, so it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He just says, "Is that it?" All right, we love you.
I'll be in performing in the kids ministry.
I will also be in kids ministry in Atlanta, Georgia, inside of a high school that I won't tell you because I do not want you to come find me.
I should not have said the name of my church. I will take that back. I will be in kids ministry this weekend, performing at 9:30 and 11:15 out front, welcoming folks.
It's admirable. Jacy?
I will also be at church this weekend at 10 a.m. Actually, probably before then because I like to go to prayer, and will be serving as decorating coordinator and whatever else they need me for.
Wow.
Oh, in Connecticut, the Great North. No.
Goodbye, folks.
Goodbye, folks.